What if I told you the United States government secretly drugged thousands of its own citizens without their knowledge, without their consent, and when they were finally caught, they burned the evidence? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is MKUltra, and it's one of the darkest chapters in American history. The year is 1953. The Cold War is at its peak. American intelligence officials are terrified. Why? Because they believe the Soviet Union has already developed a method to control the human mind. Korean War prisoners are coming home, changed, broken, saying things they would never say, doing things they would never do. The CIA calls it brainwashing, and they are convinced they are already losing the psychological arms race. So they launch a secret program, a program so dark that even its own director would later call it a mistake. They call it Project MKUltra. MKUltra officially began on April 13, 1953, authorized by CIA Director Allen Dulles himself. The goal? To develop techniques for mind control, interrogation, and psychological manipulation. But here's where it gets deeply disturbing. The CIA didn't test on enemies. They tested on Americans, unwitting Americans, prisoners who had no idea what was happening to them, mental patients, drug addicts in rehabilitation, soldiers, even ordinary citizens who simply walked into the wrong place at the wrong time. The primary weapon? LSD. Massive, uncontrolled doses of LSD administered without warning, without consent, and with absolutely no medical supervision. Subjects would be locked in rooms for days, hallucinating, terrified, with no idea why. And CIA operatives would sit behind one-way mirrors, taking notes. But LSD was just the beginning. Subproject 68, run by a McGill University psychiatrist named Dr. Ewen Cameron, took things to an entirely different level of horror. Cameron believed he could erase a person's mind and reprogram it from scratch. His method? Patients, many of whom came to him simply for depression or anxiety, were put into drug-induced sleep for weeks, sometimes months. While they slept, speakers played looped recorded messages, thousands of times, over and over. He called it psychic driving. In reality, it was psychological destruction. When patients finally woke up, they had forgotten their own names, their families, their entire lives. One woman forgot she had children. A man couldn't remember how to speak. These weren't enemy combatants. These were Canadian and American citizens who came to a hospital looking for help, and the CIA was funding every single dollar of it. Then there was Operation Midnight Climax. The CIA set up safe houses in San Francisco and New York. They hired sex workers to lure unsuspecting men inside. Then, without warning, they drugged them with LSD. And agents watched from behind hidden cameras for years. This wasn't science. This was sadism with a government budget. By 1973, MKUltra had been running for 2 decades, hundreds of subprojects, dozens of institutions. And then Richard Nixon's Watergate scandal began unraveling the government. Fearing exposure, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered something extraordinary: destroy everything. Thousands of MKUltra documents were shredded, burned, erased from existence. The program, they thought, was buried forever. But they made one mistake. A small batch of files had been misfiled in a financial records building and survived. In 1977, they were discovered through a Freedom of Information Act request. The Senate held hearings, survivors testified. The nation was horrified. CIA Director Stansfield Turner admitted to Congress that yes, the program existed. Yes, American citizens were harmed. And the mastermind, Dr. Ewen Cameron, he had already died in 1967, never facing a single day of justice. Some victims received small financial settlements. Most received nothing. And to this day, the full scope of MKUltra remains unknown because most of the evidence is ash. MKUltra is not ancient history. It happened within the lifetimes of people alive today. It was funded by your tax dollars, carried out by your government, on your neighbors, and when they got caught, they burned the proof. So the next time someone calls a dark truth just a conspiracy theory, remember MKUltra. Because sometimes the truth is worse than the theory. If this story disturbed you, it should. Subscribe, because every week we uncover another chapter of history they hoped you'd forget. And share this video, because the best weapon against a cover-up is sunlight.